Before we launch into answering the question of how does home education work, let's take a few moments to look at how home education works from a legal perspective, the regulation side of things. What's required of you, quote, legally? Because some people will ask me, is it legal to home educate here in Alberta? And yes, it is legal. It's actually written into the Education Act. So let's go into that Education Act. I want to identify three things of importance and which apply to you, the home educating parent, from the Education Act. Those three things are notification, evaluation, and funding. So let's first look at the term notification. What does that mean? Well, when you notify or provide notification of your intent to home educate, you are notifying the provincial government, namely Alberta Education, that you are choosing not to enroll your son or daughter into a school, but rather you are notifying the government that you are choosing to establish a school, a home school, a home education program there in your house. So a home educating parent, by regulation and by the Education Act, is establishing a form of school that the provincial government recognizes. All of that is captured by the term notification. So you will notify through a school that you're homeschooling. So let me back up a bit there too. Technically, according to the regulation, you are notifying through an associate board or an associate private school. That's the official terminology. And I wanted to mention this not just to flood you with information, but to let you know where the common term or question of that involves a board comes from. Many times homeschoolers will ask each other, which board have you chosen? Or have you chosen your board yet? Or which board are you homeschooling through? Something like that, something that involves the term board. What that person means essentially is which program have you chosen for your home education program? Because you do need to notify through an associate board or notify through an associate private school of your intention to home educate. You'll locate a school that offers a home education program. And we'll look at that process in the next video. But the first step for you to follow is notifying the government that you intend to home educate and thus create a recognized school where you live. And you notify the government of that intention by going through a program that offers home education. So that whole process is called notification. And that process involves two forms, the notification form and the education program plan. The notification form is a form that the government provides to you, the parent, to complete. The education program plan is a template oftentimes that the individual school program has created. There's no government created program plan. Indeed, a parent can create his or her own program plan from scratch if that's your intention. But most schools, most associate boards or associate private schools will provide to you a template for you to use just to make the process easier. So just to summarize on that, the notification form is a government issued form. The education program plan is something the parent can come up with from scratch or the school is free to create as a template for you to use. And the combination of those two forms, the notification form and education plan, together form the full notification process. So once you've sent those two forms to your chosen school, along with typically an ID document like a copy of a birth certificate, once you've sent those to the school does have 15 working days to get back to you to say yes or no, we accept or don't accept your notification forms. Typically they'll say yes. And in that case, the school will then assign to you a homeschool teacher. We at V refer to that teacher as a facilitator, and we'll look at the reasons why we say facilitator as opposed to teacher in a later video. But your facilitator or your home ed teacher will contact you and introduce himself or herself to you. And just know that this home ed teacher is typically your support person, your liaison between you and the school. It can be just a support person. But the one responsibility that teacher does have is to conduct 2 evaluations, and these are required by regulation. So the first evaluation, as you might assume, would be in the first semester. Second evaluation is done in the second semester. Now this evaluation is for looking at 2 things specifically right from the regulation. It's your students' progress and achievement. Now that progress and achievement is really determined by you, the parent. So the evaluation is not meant to be a stressful time at all. In fact, you, the parent, determine the scope of the evaluation because the evaluation is based on the program plan that you, the parent, created. So that home ed teacher or facilitator will evaluate your son or daughter's progress and achievement relative to your program plan. And that's all part of regulation. And the third thing from the Education Act that will affect you as the parent is funding, because the Alberta education provides to each student a certain amount for funding, and that funding is per student per school year. And for most programs here in Alberta, if you have 2 or more children, that money is pooled together in a family account. So that's important, and we'll look at that in a later video as well. So anyway, just to summarize, you have here in Alberta, legally speaking, you have the process of notification. There are 2 forms to fill out. Notification form and education plan. Then you have the evaluation. That can occur with your facilitator / teacher at your home. That is normal to have the evaluation in your home if you're comfortable with that. Or it can be at a Tim Hortons, it can be a restaurant, it can be a library, a rec center, wherever you feel most comfortable. And then third is funding. So those are the 3 things that from a big picture are all required here in Alberta for home education.